What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be going over SpaceX. This was a very hyped IPO in the last couple months. I'm going to be going over the numbers, the growth rate on this company, what's the valuation in the future, what's the estimated valuation based on analyst estimates, my own. We're going to dive into this. We're going to tackle this, see what's going on. If you don't know who this is right here, you're missing out. This is Elon Musk, owner of Tesla, or the major shareholder of Tesla and SpaceX. He was the richest man in the world. Well, still is the richest man in the world. He was over like 1 trillion net worth, currently lower than that, but still the richest man in the world. But we're going to dive into this, see what's going on, starting with the share price. So, since IPO, there has been a lot of volatility in SpaceX. I believe their IPO price was around 135, so right down here. But once the market opens, it started around 160, and it hit highs about 225, and then it just got hit and sold off hard all the way down into August here. I believe the share price got cut over 50%, down here to like 105 per share. Recently, it's came back up a little bit, but this is just a stock that's very, very volatile. People are just trying to figure out what's the actual value of this company. There's a lot of shares coming back on the market for insiders to start selling if they would like to. So let's go ahead, dive into the numbers, try and figure out what's going on here. So currently, they are not earning a profit. They have no net income, but analysts are expecting that they're going to move up to net income of 1.5 billion this year and have positive EPS. I'm not sure about that at all. I think there's a lot of gray area in those numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if they're more like break even territory this year, but they have a profit this year. Out towards 2028, they're expecting 157 billion in revenue and 50 billion in net income with 5.48 EPS. This is projecting a huge amount of growth in the future. We're talking revenue growth probably averaging 100%. Net income growth is going to be flying high with EPS. So I have huge doubts in them actually pulling this off, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what would the price of SpaceX in 2028 be if they actually pull off what analysts are projecting. So we're going to take an EPS of 548, a PE ratio of 50 here. And if you guys have been watching the channel, you know that EPS times PE ratio gives you the price. Just basic math there. So if they pull off this EPS, give them a 50 PE. That's just my estimate here. Could be higher, could be lower, but I think that's a good guess for the future, what they're going to be priced at. You get a stock around 274. That would give you a CAGR, a constant annual growth rate of 38%. That would be a buy, in my opinion, if they're able to pull that off. But these are analysts. What am I really projecting? I believe that max, best case scenario, the bull case, an EPS of $3 is the best we're going to get. Say we give a 50 PE just like before, then you're getting a stock price of 150. You're only really getting a CAGR of 4% per year based on the 136 stock price we have today. So that would be a scenario where you're really just dead money for years into the future. That would be a sell for me. Like, I'm not touching it. So basically what I'm getting at is there's a lot of different outcomes that can happen because the growth rate, what the numbers are going to be 2-3 years into the future, there's such a big gray area around it. And we also got to think about the shares coming online based on these insiders having their shares unlocked so that now they're tradable in the future. So I went ahead, asked ChatGPT, how many more insiders will have shares unlocked to sell in the future, and how many have already been unlocked? So let's just see how many shares are going to be able to trade in the future based on what insiders had, what the private investors had before they were public. So insiders now have 1.23 billion that are now able to be traded and eligible. That's already occurred. Now, by year end, there's another 3.67 billion shares that are going to be unlocked, come online, and available to trade if they would like to. That's a substantial amount of shares. If you see down here, the total shares outstanding is around 13.2 billion. So if we're adding another 3.67 billion by year end to the shares outstanding, like available to trade, being unlocked by insiders, that's around 28% of the total float coming into the market. So does that mean they're going to sell? Are they just all going to sell their shares? No, there's probably going to be a good majority that hold their shares, but this is just something that I believe is going to weigh heavily on the stock here in the future, here to year end. Elon has quite a few shares here, but those aren't coming online till like mid 2027, and I don't see a scenario where he sells, if any of those, in the next 5-10 years. So we'll see what happens, but I think this is just a negative that's going to stay there. So based on what I've said, where would I personally step in? I'm definitely not with analysts here. My high end is around $3 of EPS. I think at best we see $150 stock price in 2028. It could be much lower. This is why having your own opinion here, what do you think the numbers are going to be, is so important. This is why the market is an amazing place. Everyone's got their own opinions, but for me personally, $70, below $70 is really my target here. Right now, it has a market cap of 1.86 trillion. If it comes down below 70, that would be a $950 billion market cap. That's where I would personally say, okay, the risk to reward, it makes sense here. I'll go ahead and step in, but there's just so much uncertainty with the numbers here into the future. I don't see them pulling off this net income and EPS. And I believe that's why we've had such this crazy amount of volatility. There's a lot of questions into the future. So with all that being said, I see a $70 price or below that, ideally, where I might start stepping in a little bit. Is it going to get there? Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the EPS gets to $5.48 in the future. Maybe they trade at 100 PE. Like, I don't know. If I'm wrong about it, that's just what happens. That's part of playing the game. I'm not going to worry about it if I miss out on it, but I really need it under 70 if I'm going to be stepping in. So leave your thoughts down below in the comments if you'd like. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya.